Welcome back to America's Fractured Politics, where we break down the fights that matter and call out the games that threaten the heart of American democracy. I'm your host, Mark Mansour, and today's episode is not just about a looming government shutdown. It's about lines in the sand, lessons from history, and above all, what true leadership looks like in the teeth of a manufactured crisis. Let's get straight to it. There's a government shutdown fight barreling toward us, fueled not by genuine policy differences, but by Senate Republicans' latest attempt to take the country hostage. And let's be very clear, what's happening is not legislation, it's not negotiation, it's not even traditional partisan brawling. It is, in the plainest terms, extortion with a letterhead. The bill currently being dangled by Senate Republicans bears the fingerprints of the same far-right architects who spent years trying to gut Medicare and Social Security, repeal the Affordable Care Act, and blow holes in the nation's safety net, all while protecting tax breaks for billionaires and slashing corporate regulation. Today, the face of the Senate GOP is John Thune, wearing that Midwestern everyman mask. But underneath, it is the same appetite for brinksmanship, the same willingness to risk chaos if it means forcing Democrats, and by extension American families, to surrender. Let's call this what it is, a hostage note. One that threatens the paychecks of millions of federal workers, the stability of the U.S. and global economies, the everyday services that define functional government, and the fragile trust Americans place in their institutions. And all for what? So John Thune, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Rick Scott, Ron Johnson, and their allies can keep appeasing the loudest, most extreme voices in their own party. Caving to this kind of extortion wouldn't just be political malpractice for Democrats, it would be moral cowardice, an insult to every American who relies on government to simply do its job. Democrats need to look at the record. History could not be clearer. Republicans have lost every single government shutdown fight of the modern era. 1995, Newt Gingrich and House Republicans shut down the government, betting that President Bill Clinton would crumble. Instead, Clinton stood firm, public opinion blamed the GOP, and the Democrats not only survived but gained political strength. Gingrich's legacy was forever intertwined with reckless brinkmanship. In 2013, Ted Cruz led a kamikaze charge to defund Obamacare, joined gleefully by Senate Republicans. They assumed public pressure would break the Democrats. President Obama and Senate Democrats held the line. The result? A humiliating climb down by Republicans, with Cruz and his acolytes branded as extremists. Obamacare survived. The country saw through the stunt. In 2018, the longest shutdown in U.S. history, 35 days, engineered by Republicans marching in lockstep with Donald Trump for border wall funding. Senate Republican leadership, Mitch McConnell, John Thune, John Barrasso, and John Cornyn, let it drag on, indifferent to the pain inflicted. Ultimately, Trump and the GOP caved. They got nothing and Trump's approval tanked. Again, the nation blamed the arsonists, not the firefighters. Every single time, the public saw who lit the match. Every single time, the Republicans lost credibility, and it chipped away at what little faith remained in D.C.'s ability to function. And yet here we are again. Why? Because shutdown politics is now stitched into the modern GOP's agenda. It's not about deficits, it's about extortion, plain and simple. The script is tired but dangerous. The essential government functions are a grab bag of radical demands. Blame Democrats for refusing? Hope the Beltway media paints it as gridlock. John Thune may talk differently, but under his leadership, the strategy is identical. Chaos is bargaining chip. Dysfunction is negotiating tool. Democrats in the Senate have the power to stop this. Too often, though, they don't act like it. They flinch at dire headlines about gridlock. They get spooked by the myth that both parties are to blame. They worry about being painted as reckless. But weakness is not leadership. Timidity is not governance. History rewards those who draw bright, bold lines and defend the real interests of the American people. If Senate Democrats capitulate, they write a blank check for future hostage takers, ensuring cycles of dysfunction for years to come. So what should Democrats demand? Not simply to keep the lights on, but to defend the will of the voters and the integrity of government. The answer is clear. A comprehensive, explicit, and unapologetic strategic playbook, one that combines non-negotiable demands with relentless discipline, unity, and communications. First, declare red lines early and unambiguously. The public responds to clarity. Democrats should state publicly and repeatedly what specific programs, policies, and institutions are non-negotiable. These red lines should be named in press briefings, in social media, and in constituent outreach. Democrats will not accept any budget or continuing resolution that cuts Social Security, Medicare, or Affordable Care Act subsidies, weakens election security, or includes unrelated culture war riders. Make that point crystal clear. Publishing these lines long before the deadline limits Republican leverage and arms every senator and surrogate with ironclad talking points. Second, take ownership of the clean continuing resolution and reclaim the narrative. A clean CR, keeping government open at existing funding levels without policy riders, must be the headline demand, not just a fallback. Democrats should introduce and reintroduce this clean CR, forcing multiple procedural votes and making Republicans go on the record about why they want to block basic functionality. Each GOP filibuster or block should be met with immediate pressers, digital town halls, and messaging. Here's who's hurting your community when Republicans say no to funding. Children losing WIC, troops missing pay, clinics closing. Third, flood the zone. Localize every impact. Debate must move beyond shutdown and gridlock. Every Democratic senator and surrogate should have a toolkit of stories and facts detailing exactly what the shutdown means for their state or district. 300,000 Georgia children could lose school lunches. Tens of thousands of Arizona families lose housing support. Wisconsin airports face security chaos. Ads, op-eds, and social media must constantly reinforce these local consequences to drive public anger at home, even in red states and swing districts. Fourth, activate grassroots pressure. Coordinate with advocacy groups, unions, and state parties to organize office visits, call-in campaigns, and targeted digital actions in every swing, red, and vulnerable Republican state. Mobilize the families, teachers, veterans, small business owners, the people who most directly feel the shutdown pain. The goal? Make Republican senators more afraid of their own constituents than that of Cruz, Thune, or Hawley back in the chamber. Fifth, use hearings and oversight for visibility. Fill the news cycle with televised hearings to dramatize the shutdown's harm. Invite parents, first responders, seniors, and military families, those threatened by benefit cuts or delayed pay. Compel agency leaders and state officials to document and explain live the disaster that the GOP is courting. These hearings should be stacked near negotiating deadlines for maximum urgency and pressure. Democrats can hold these themselves. They should. Sixth, embrace vote-a-rama. Instead of avoiding the amendment marathon, Democrats should throw every poison pill idea from the GOP onto the floor, making them walk the plank with roll call vote. Cuts to Social Security, Medicaid, abortion bans, Ukraine defunding. Then package these votes into press releases, ads, and state media, so GOP senators can't dodge what's on their record, especially in the next campaign. 7. Counter the both sides media frame. All Democratic spokespeople, from chiefs of staff to senators to press secretaries, must be drilled. This is not gridlock. This is Republican extortion. We offered to keep America running. Only the GOP is demanding ransom. Never cede the core story to lazy equivalents. Relentless message discipline is the key to winning, and independence and low-attention audiences. 8. Shore up internal unity. Even a small handful of wavering Democrats can become the story the GOP and media seize on. Daily caucus meetings, internal group chats, one-on-one calls from leadership are vital. Give frontliners and red state Dems polling and covering arguments. Voters always blame the GOP for shutdowns. No daylight between leaders and rank and file, from press hits to constituent emails. 9. Always offer and promote a responsible off-ramp. Let's keep government open, take up a clean bill, and debate the rest in normal order. Voters want peace and normalcy, not endless drama. Be the adults at the table. Lay traps for Republicans when they propose partial deals or many continuing resolutions, and rehearse public answers to all media narratives, technical and emotional. Now, set the 6 non-negotiable demands as the practical pillars of this plan. Number 1, Social Security and Medicare are sacrosanct. Republicans have gotten slick in their rhetoric. Rescue plan, commission, entitlement reform. But the intent was always cuts or privatization. Rick Scott is just the latest frontman for gutting seniors' benefits. Democrats must reject any commission or panel and demand clean public roll call votes to expose proposed cuts. This isn't just policy, it's a moral bright line. Every event and hearing should amplify the real faces who would lose everything if Scott's vision gets written into law. 2. Protect American obligations abroad. Figures like Rand Paul and J.D. Vance want to abandon Ukraine and our allies. Democrats must demand robust, explicit funding for Ukraine, NATO, and threatened partners. Woven into every bill, hold public hearings with military leaders and diplomats, showing the cost of retreat. Challenge Republicans by name. Are you siding with Putin? This is more than budget. It's national security and America's word on the world stage. 3. Fund domestic services and reject euphemisms about waste. GOP senators attacking welfare spending are really targeting housing vouchers, WIC, and education grants, the services holding vulnerable children and working families above water. All the while, corporate subsidies remain untouched. Democrats must protect and expand these programs, the threatened cuts to real local stories, and push back on waste rhetoric with facts about how these programs actually strengthen families and the economy. 4. Defend the backbone of American health care. Republicans are coming not just for the ACA, but the core subsidies, tax credits, and insurance supports that millions rely on. Democrats must draw a red line. No negotiation, period. Give floor speeches and invite insurers and hospitals to testify to the real public health crisis this cuts would cause. If a Republican wants to campaign on higher premiums, let them. 5. Guarantee robust election security. The 2020 stolen election lies did not end. They mutate. Democrats must fund election cybersecurity, require safe paper backups, invest in poll worker protection, and block any track language opening loopholes or sabotage. This has to be done on the state level because the Republicans won't permit it. Center every debate on patriotic, nonpartisan terms. Free and fair elections are not negotiable. Challenge the opposition's sense of duty to democracy itself. 6. Kill all poison pill riders on sight. Republicans routinely try to sneak abortion bans, environmental rollbacks, immigration stunts, and anti-LGBTQ measures into must-pass bills. Never through open debate. Democrats must insist on clean bills and public amendment logs. Every attempt at a backdoor policy win should be forced into the light with open voters and public explanations. And if in spite of all of this, Democrats cave or compromise through timidity, the cost will be perpetual crisis. The GOP will have the incentive to push again and again and again, knowing Democrats will blink. It guarantees repeat shutdown fights, market instability, lost pay, vital services put at risk on a schedule. It normalizes chaos and ensures the blame cycle never ends, destroying the public faith in governance itself. But if Democrats speak with a single voice, plant their flag, and use every lever of power, message, hearings, grassroots, local impact, procedural offense, they can flip the script. The press will stop buying the both sides angle when every expert, state official, and parent points to the real culprits, business and moderate voters. Those exhausted by hostage politics will pressure the GOP to fold. The party of Cruz, Thune, Scott, Hawley becomes the face of chaos. Instead of endless unraveling, the firewall holds. Voters remember who caused the chaos: Gingrich, Cruz, Trump, and they are waiting now. So Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin, and every Senate Democrat, this is your moment to take a stand. Refuse the ransom. Don't let the grandstanders win. Don't let benefit slashers and safety net saboteurs slip past. Draw the line. Speak in one voice. Tell all America, the shutdown, if it comes, is a Republican project with Republican names attached. No blurring, no both sides fog, just the truth. The country wants normality, services, stability, and guts. If Democrats meet with chaos and clarity and backbone, they can not only win, they can break the cycle of hostage politics for good. Republicans chose this kamikaze tactic. Let them lose, again. This has been America's Fractured Politics. I'm your host, Mark Mansour. If you remember only one thing from this episode, make it this. When Republicans light the fire, their party is the one that burns. And Senate Democrats must not forget it. Not this time, not ever. See you next episode.